Good evening, comrades. Thank you very much for inviting me to contribute on this platform. My name is Karen Mukwasi. I am a feminist activist. I work mostly in feminist movement building, working with young women and girls. I also support other movements as a project manager and as an M&E professional. As we commemorate 18 months since Comrade Sikhala has been incarcerated in prison, there are a lot of issues that come to mind. There are a lot of thoughts in our minds. One that is very key in mine is how have we failed to build strong solidarity around Comrade Sikhala up until now? Why has it not been the most topical issue on the mouth of every Zimbabwean? I think we start looking at some of the holes that are there in our struggle. And one of them has been the institutionalization of solidarity, where we are waiting for NGOs that are receiving funds from partners to be the ones that are key in the solidarity for an HRD. That is solidarity that is too mechanical for it to work, because it involves bureaucracy, it involves even, policies of organizations, and I don't think we can afford such a stand at this time. So I think it's time to review that. We thought solidarity would come from there, the most solidarity would come from there, and even maybe solidarity would come from his party. But those are institutions, and they are not working with the mind of a human heart. They are not working with the mind of community. So I think we are at this point where we need to re-strategize and build towards a common solidarity goal as a community. And when I refer to a community, I'm referring to the community that is here now, the community of human rights defenders, some in Zimbabwe, some not in Zimbabwe, but all with a common goal. And I think we all agree that for now, the common goal is to work towards the release of Comrade Sikhala. So I'm happy that a council has been put together, and then it's time where we are sharing ideas that do not have to go through committees and be debated in meetings, because time is not on our hands. 18 months is a long time, and this detention should have been ended a long time ago. And I think this is an opportunity for us to stand as Zimbabweans against pre-trial detentions. It is time for us to, because this has happened to Comrade Sikhala, and we all know that this is going to happen to another comrade anytime from now. A precedent has been set. If you stand for human rights in this country, you could face very long trial detention. No one cares whether you be guilty or not, but the fact that you've made a stand, the fact that you've spoken truth to power, you can be detained without a trial for up to 18 months with something that is unconstitutional, something that has no respect for the rule of law, but it is something that is being done. So I think one thing that we have to do is to focus on the illegality of the detention of Sikhala. This trial detention is not something that is acceptable and law. Why has the comrade not been given? Why has it taken so long for him to be brought to trial? Why does he remain to be incarcerated? So I think with these questions in mind, one thing that we need to do is to continue to speak every day, because every time people speak, a cause remains alive. Every time that we speak as Zimbabweans with a common voice, the cause will remain alive. Because if we go for a week without mentioning the name of Sikhala, if we go for a week without mentioning his incarceration, he stands to be forgotten in the minds of people. People tend to move on. And as we look at the incarceration of Sikhala, yes, it is one of the most tragic it is one of the most tragic things to happen, in Zimbabwe during this period. But it is also an opportunity for us as citizens. It is an opportunity for us as citizens to start speaking up against repression, because we have realized that if we do not speak up and we leave the speaking of truth to power to a few individuals, they will be targeted and they will be made into examples. So for us, so the only way forward is a common cause, a common goal. If we speak with one voice against this kind of repression, then there is a chance that we can be heard. So the first thing is, speaking up against pre-trial detention. Pre-trial detention is used as a weapon against those who dare to speak, because the prosecution goes in there. They know they have their case has no merit. They go in there and then they decide to continuously postpone the case, and they continue. They ask for continuances, and because they are doing the job that the state has mandated them to do, they will be granted, these continuances, and bail will be refused over and over again. This weaponizing of the law cannot be acceptable. It cannot continue to be accepted in Zimbabwe. So this is a time first of all, it's a time to educate our people. We have here on this platform, we have comrades from the legal fraternity. I think this is an opportunity to educate people, because we cannot take it for granted. It's not a given that people understand. Right now, everyone they are cowering in their homes right now, as they have decided that they shall not say anything. What they are fearing is this kind of detention. So I think it's important for people to understand just how illegal this is, just how this is, against the constitution that is supposed to be the supreme law of this land. So I think we need to use this as an opportunity to educate our people around the legal issues surrounding pre-trial detention. And as we move forward, we also need political education for our people, because one of the reasons that Zimbabweans are failing to speak out is just a lack of consciousness. We have a group of people who blindly follow what they are told, who will wait for some political leaders from somewhere to rescue them. And political consciousness has never been about people being rescued. It has been about people being able to speak up for themselves. It has been about people being able to build unity behind a common purpose, and for them to understand that they are the voice. So I think let's use this opportunity for political education, comrades. I think we are all positioned to give political education to the people that we represent, to the people that we exist among. I think this is the time, be it in meetings where we meet, be it through publications. But as we speak, I think we need to take the issue of political education very seriously, because I think what this has exposed the gap in the political consciousness of our people. So, as I'm happy that Court Solidarity for Comrade Sikhala is picking up, that, the Solidarity Council has made so much effort, that the chair has been working very strongly to build the kind of solidarity that is required. We have to continue the Court Solidarity. Every day, a full court is supposed to be there. The world is watching, and we represent the world that is watching when we sit in that court. Every time this gel solidarity, to know that Comrade Sikhala will never, the oppressors have to understand that Comrade Sikhala will never stand alone, that he will never be alone. His family needs to appreciate that, their father he's incarcerated, but he does not stand alone. He stands with those that he fights with in the trenches. So we cannot wait for institutions, we cannot wait for political parties, but it is only our consciousness that can lead us as we go towards where we are going. So I really, I continue to call on the women of Zimbabwe to say, it's injure one, injure all. What is happening to Comrade Sikhala today can be happening to you tomorrow. If we sit back and say, but this is not a women's rights issue, so we will not be. It will be one day, a women's rights issue and there will be no one standing in solidarity with us. So I really would like to call on my sisters to say, do what you can, use the skills that we have. This is a time where we're trying to build, organic solidarity. Bring your skills, bring your resources, bring your platforms. Let's all speak up in one voice. And this detention had to end 18 months ago, and every day that passes with Comrade Sikhala in prison is just a crime. It's not acceptable, and we all need to speak. And when we speak, let's all speak every day. Thank you.
Greetings all. First of all, I just want to thank you all for this initiative, which I think is very important and critical at this time as we reflect on Honorable Job Sikhala's 18 months in pretrial detention. We must be able also to be thinking about the way forward, so that together we can be able to craft strategies that ultimately will result in the unconditional release of Honorable Job Sikhala, whose pretrial detention obviously is unwarranted and infringes on his human rights. Particularly crucial as we reflect on the Honorable Job Sikhala's unjust incarceration for such a protracted period is the fact that we all know he did not commit any crime, only that he was exercising his right to free expression, free association, is enshrined in our Constitution. The consequences on his detention, the consequences of his detention on his health and also the welfare of his family and dependents is just too ghastly to contemplate. Honorable Sikhala was arrested on 14th June 2022 after attending the funeral of political activist Mo Blessing Ali, who had been reported missing for 3 weeks before being found murdered. And Honorable Sikhala was convicted on the 3rd of May 2022 for obstruction of justice, and he was given a suspended 6-month sentence with an option of paying US $600 or spending 6 months in jail. Sadly, he has been kept in prison pending trial for 2 other charges of incitement to commit violence and disorderly conduct. He has been at Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison in Harare since June 2022. As I have already stated, Honorable Job Sikhala continued unjust detention over such a protracted period has had negative consequences on his person, on his family, on his associates, and indeed on his dependents. For example, he has not enjoyed the freedoms and liberties as enshrined in our Constitution. He has had a serious loss of earnings to be able to take care of his family and dependents. So his household income has been negatively impacted. He cannot realize any income for food, for education, health, clothes, and other important household needs. In other words, he is unable to access basic social services. And that also includes members of his family. He can't participate in national democratic processes because of his incarceration. So these, among other issues, are critical, and we need to be thinking seriously about them so that we are able to craft strategies that will ultimately result in the release of Honorable Job Sikhala. It is clear from all that has been happening to Job Sikhala that this is an example of the Zimbabwean authorities of weaponization of the law, targeting mainly activists and members of the opposition. The charges are baseless and obviously a travesty of justice and violation of his human rights. It is obviously a clear case of persecution by prosecution. What then must we be able to do as citizens, as relatives, friends, civil society, in order that Job Sikhala's dream of freedom at last is realized? My take is that we must continue to lobby for his unconditional release. We must also use all available spaces to pressure for the release of Job Sikhala. We must be able to raise awareness amongst citizens, amongst civil society, amongst regional and international bodies of the continued unjust incarceration of Job Sikhala, so that the authorities are pressured into releasing him. There must be also, support systems for his family. And such support systems need to be set up and strengthened. Once this is done, Job Sikhala's family and dependents will be able also to access social services such as health, education, markets, and other needs. As we approach Christmas, we know it's now around the corner. His family needs support also, so that they may be able to get provisions and also enjoy the festivities at Christmas. food, clothes, and other necessities. All said and done, the continued incarceration of Job Sikhala must come to an end. It is clear that there was no crime committed. And so the need to pressure the authorities to release Job Sikhala cannot be overemphasized.